When we talk about the general purpose input output of 8050 microcontroller, as you see here, there are 4 ports, port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3, and all the 4 ports are bidirectional ports, and all the 4 ports are 8-bit ports, and each port is bit set resettable. That is the one we have studied. So with the knowledge of one controller with one peripheral, if we are okay. Similarly, with slight modifications, the higher controllers are there with much more features, right? And with respect to ARM7 core, this is the GPIO, right? So port 0, which contains 32 GPIO lines, and port 1 contains, which is 16 GPIO lines, as you see here. So there are 2 ports. One port contains 32 GPIO lines, and another port contains 16 GPIO lines. So 32 plus 16. So 48 general purpose input lines in LPC2148 microcontroller, which is ARM7 based microcontroller, as we all know. And when you use the TIVA microcontroller, so if you go for TIVA microcontroller, if you look at the general purpose input output, it is available in the system peripheral. If you see this, inside the system peripherals, we have a GPIOs of 43. It is given as GPIOs of 43, which indicates 43 general purpose input output pins. So if we have 43 general purpose input output pins, means 43 input devices can be connected independently. 43 output devices can be connected independently. Something like that we need to understand. So these general purpose input output are connected to the AMBA high performance bus as well as the VLSI peripheral bus, as you see here. Okay. So among the 6 system peripherals, only the DMA as well as the GPIOs are connected to AMBA high performance bus and the VLSI peripheral bus. So GPIOs may be high speed GPIO, or we can configure the GPIOs as low speed GPIO. So when you go to the general purpose input out of TIVA microcontrollers, you have to look at the chapter 10. Chapter 10 talks about the general purpose input output, as you see right here. So if you see this, the 43 GPIO pins is not exactly a single port. It is a combination of, you see, port A, port B, port C, port D, port E, and port F. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ports. Okay. There are port A contains 8-bit, port B contains 8-bit, port C contains 8-bit, port D contains 6-bit, port D contains 6 bits, and port F contains 4 bits. Something like that. All put together, we will get 43 GPIO lines. So let us look at the features of this general purpose input output one by one, where really we will appreciate how powerful are the general purpose input output with respect to ARM Cortex M4 based microcontroller. Here it is TIVA microcontrollers, GPIO lines. Okay. So the GPIO module is composed of 6 physical GPIO blocks, each corresponding to an individual GPIO port. There are port A, port B, port C, port D, port E, and port F. GPIO module supports up to 43 programmable input-output pins, depending on the peripherals being used. Okay, let us look at one by one. GPIO module has the following features, right? Up to 43 GPIO, depending on the configuration. So maximum 43 GPIOs can be used. That means 43 motors can be switched on or switched off independently, or 43 lamps can be switched on and switched off independently. Something like that you need to understand. You can see highly flexible pin muxing allows use as a GPIO or one of the several peripheral functions. Highly flexible pin muxing allows us use as GPIO or one of several peripheral functions. Highly flexible pin muxing means single pin can act as a GPIO pin or other 3 alternate functions, as like we discussed in the previous class with respect to LPC2148 with the help of pin cell register, right? When we go for LPC2148, by using the pin cell register, we will select the alternate function of the corresponding GPIO pins. Similarly, in TIVA microcontroller, each pin can be operated in different alternate functions. So that is mentioned here as highly flexible pin muxing, something like that. And 5-volt tolerant in input configuration. So it is given as 5-volt tolerant in input configuration means because the IC is a CMOS IC where the VDD and VSS are 3.3 volts, but GPIO pins can tolerate up to 5 volt. Okay, tolerate up to 5 volt. That is the specialty where the TTL logic input devices can be connected directly to the GPIO pins. That is the specialty here with respect to this point, 5 volt tolerant in input configuration. So when you come to the next point, port A to G accessed through the advanced peripheral bus. This is very interesting, right? So ports A to G accessed through the advanced peripheral bus for high speed GPIO accesses. And when you look at the next point, fast toggle capable of change every clock cycle for the ports on AMBA high performance bus, every 2 clock cycles for ports on APB, AMBA peripheral bus. So fast toggle capable of change every clock cycle for ports on AHB, every 2 clock cycles for ports on AMBA peripheral bus. So this point very clearly explains. So if the switching rate can be as fast as the clock frequency of the corresponding controller. The clock frequency is 1 megahertz means you can go up to the switching rate of the peripheral could be 1 megahertz, something like that. If you connect with this some high performance bus or 1/2 of the speed of the clock pulse when you connect to AMBA peripheral bus, PLSI peripheral bus, that is what mentioned here, right? So fast toggle capable of change every clock cycle for ports on AMBA high performance bus, every 2 clock cycles for ports on advanced peripheral bus. Okay, so it can high speed peripheral. We can configure it in high speed mode or normal speed mode. High speed mode means every clock cycle can produce every clock change in the GPIO pins. That is the beauty of this. And programmable control for GPIO interrupts. So here one interesting thing I want to highlight. So at the end of the class, I am very eager to ask you what you have learned. So please listen this carefully. So programmable control for GPIO interrupts. Programmable control. Okay. So here there is one new word for you, all of you. GPIO interrupts. There is a term called GPIO interrupts. What do you mean by GPIO interrupts here? When we talk about GPIO interrupts, every GPIO lines can be configured as interrupts. This is one beautiful thing you need to appreciate here. So with respect to 8051, if you see, that is why we are always comparing with 8051. So there are 5 interrupts as you see here, out of which 3 are timer interrupts, and there are 2 external hardware interrupts. So what is hardware interrupt? Interrupt which are happening in the pin is called as hardware interrupt with respect to our understanding. So the interrupts which are happening in pin with respect to 8051 is INT0 bar and INT1 bar. So that's why INT0 bar and INT1 bar are called as external interrupt with respect to 8051 microcontroller. So here there are 43 GPIO lines, right? All the 43 GPIO lines can be used as an external interrupts. So that is so beautiful. So in 8051 there are only 2 external interrupts which can be configured as edge triggered or level triggered. In edge triggered it can be configured only in the falling edge, and the level triggered it can be configured only as level 0 interrupt. So it never 8051 can never be triggered as level 1 interrupt. 8051 can never be triggered as rising edge interrupts. But here, out of 43 GPIO lines, 43 GPIO lines can be used as a hardware interrupts, where it can be configured as an edge triggered or it can be configured as a level triggered. If it is configured as an edge triggered, it can be configured as a rising edge or falling edge. When it is configured as a level triggered, it can be configured as level 0 or level 1. Then that much flexibility is there. So programmable control, GPIO interrupts. This is GPIO interrupts, which is also programmable. That is the one you need to appreciate. So 43 hardware interrupts are there with respect to TIVA series of microcontroller, which can be used for so many interrupt applications where we are going to explore it much in the following classes, right? So interrupt generation masking. So we can mask the interrupt generation whenever necessary. So edge triggered on rising, falling or both. So edge triggering can rising edge is possible. We can rising edge is possible, falling edge is possible, and we can trigger at both rising edge as well as falling edge. Okay, rising edge triggering, falling edge triggering, or both rising and falling edge triggering, all are possible with respect to this. Okay, and level sensitive on high or low values. This you can very clearly you can observe. Level sensitive on high, level sensitive. You can see level sensitive on high or low values means what? Level 1 interrupt can also be possible. Level 0 interrupt can also be possible. As we have seen right now, while writing for the CA1, if you have seen the interrupts means level triggered interrupts are the interrupts which are used for the applications as long as. So here low level interrupts as well as high level interrupts triggering is possible, which can be used for applications like as long as, which demands as long as, right? Then bit masking on both read and write operations through address lines. Okay, bit masking in both read and write operations through address lines. Okay, so bit masking again, bit set resettable can be used to initiate an ADC sample sequence. Means whenever there is a falling edge, ADC should start the conversion, or whenever there is a rising edge, ADC should start the conversion, or whenever there is level 0 state comes, ADC should start sort of conversion, something like that. Or whenever there is a transition from 1 to 0, DMA transfer should take place, something like that. We can initiate an ADC sampling through GPIO, or we can initiate a micro DMA transfer through GPIO. That is another facility which is available. And pin state can be retained during hibernation mode. Hibernation mode, just now while discussing the block diagram, we have discussed that it's a Kumbhakarnan mode where for a long time sleep. For example, in one day, if you want to switch on 1 minute, means the microcontroller can should sleep up to 23 hours, 59 minutes, right? In one day, microcontroller has to work for 1 minute, means microcontroller can sleep 23 hours and 59 minutes. So sleeping 23 hours and 59 minutes and waking up 1 minute, again sleeping for 23 hours, 59 minutes, and waking up 1 minute is some kind of application if this is necessary. Means to implement that, we have to use the hibernation module, which can stop the clock pulse, which can stop the memory transfer, which can freeze the entire microcontroller except the real-time clock, which says that 23 hours, 59 minutes is over, switch on the microcontroller, something like that. But here what they used to say means, pin state can be retained, means when during the hibernation mode, before going to sleep, if one GPIO is logic 1 and another GPIO is logic 0, means during the sleep also, the 1 will be retained as 1 and 0 will be retained as 0. That is the statement which we need to understand from this particular bullet point. So pin state can be retained during hibernation mode. In the deep sleep mode, if the pin remains as 1, means it remains as 1 for 23 hours, 59 minutes. If one of the pin remains at 0, means it will remain as 0 for 23 hours, 59 minutes, something like that, with respect to our example that what we have discussed. Okay. So another very interesting point here, it is pins configured as digital inputs are schema triggered. Schema triggered means what? Schema trigger is one of the very good example for noise cancellation circuit. How it can be used as a noise cancellation circuit means there is a UTP point and LTP point, upper threshold point and lower threshold point. So whenever the signal goes above upper threshold points, the schema trigger state will change. Whenever the state comes below the lower threshold point, output state will change from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. So this you know very well, right? So in between the upper trigger threshold point and lower threshold point, whatever changes happens, that will never schema trigger will never bother that. So this is a very important feature for the noise cancellation with respect to the digital circuit. Say for example, greater than 4 voltage, consider this as 1. Less than 2 voltage, consider this as 0. In between 2 voltage to 4 voltage, those voltages are noises. If noise, something like that, if we are assuming, means we can keep the UTP point as upper threshold point as 4 volts, and we can keep the lower threshold point as 2 volts. So voltages from the input above 4 volt will be considered as logic 1, or the schema trigger will convert that into logic 1. And the voltages below 2 volts will be considered as logic 0. So in between, whatever changes happens in the input pin, schema trigger will never change from 1 to 0 or 0 to 1. That is what we need to understand. So based on this, we can say that it is a very good noise cancellation circuit. So all the digital inputs and all the higher end microcontrollers must be schema triggered. Here also, pins configured as digital inputs are schema triggered. So because of schema triggering nature, the noise cancellation will happen automatically. Programmable control, this is very interesting. Programmable control for GPIO pad configuration. Pad means pin. Programmable control for GPIO pad configuration means pad means pin here. So we pull up or pull down resistors. Okay. So even in 8051 we have pull up resistors and pull down resistors. Here also we have pull up resistors. But in 8051 we do not have pull down resistors. Here we have pull down resistors also, which is number 1. Okay. So internally there are pulled up resistors and pull down resistors, and if we need, we can have that pull up resistors. If you don't want, we can disconnect that pull up resistors through our programs, which is optional, which is very interesting feature. Again, whenever you're doing some project, the output need a driver, right? Output needs a driver. So with the help of driver only, we can drive the output pins. So the driving capacity can be programmed, right? So the GPIO pin can drive 2 milliamps of load. GPIO pin can drive up to 4 milliamps of load. GPIO pin can drive up to 8 milliamps of load. Whether GPIO has to drive 2 milliamps of load or 4 milliamps of load or 8 milliamps of load can be programmed by using the GPIO programmable registers, as we are going to see right now. Okay, so 2 milliamps, 4 milliamps, 8 milliamps pad array for digital communication. Up to 4 pads can sync 18 milliamps for high current applications. Okay, so 4 GPIO pins can sync up to 18 milliamps of current, which is so huge current with respect to a single microcontroller. Okay, and slew rate control. As we all know, slew rate is, what do you mean by slew rate? So the how fast it changes from logic 0 to 0, 1, or how fast it changes from logic 1 to logic 0. So within a particular time is called a slew rate, as you know very well. So when the slew rate is better means so very high transition can happen. That's what you need to understand. The slew rate control for 8 milliamps of pad drive. So the slew rate control is also possible. And there's a possibility for us to have open drain, and there is a possibility for us to have a digital inputs. Okay. So with respect to GPIO, there are port 0, port 1, port 2, and port 3. That's all. There is not even a, any mode registers or etc. There are only 4 registers with respect to 8051. But with respect to LPC2148, for each port there are 4 registers, right? So GPIO set register, GPIO clear register, GPIO pin register, and then direction control register. But when you look at your microcontroller, really appreciate. You can see how many registers in the block diagram. Really will enjoy or really will appreciate. Because the block diagram really can celebrate the significance of GPIO, right? You see, this is the block diagram of general purpose input output pin. So this rectangle box, look at the screen. This rectangle box is one pin. You can see package IO pin. You can see this is package IO pin, as you see here. This is package IO pin. So this is one pin. This is called as pad. Pad means that pin inside the controller. So digital IO pad. This is one pin out of 43 pin. This is the one pin with respect to TIVA microcontroller. You can see how many registers are there. You can see briefly. I will go through. I will take a tour here. First, let me go from the fundamental, very easy thing. Here you can see there is a data control register. Okay, so there is a register called data control register. When we use this data control register, when you look at this data control register, there are 2 data control registers you can available. One is GPIO data register, which is used to hold the data, which is to be transmitted or which is to be received, right? It is something like port 0, port 1, port 2, port 3, as we see in our 8051. Or this is something like GPIO pin register in our LPC2148 microcontroller. Okay, so in LPC2148 microcontroller, we have direction register. Here also there is a GPIO direction register, which decides the direction, that is whether the port is configured as an input port or whether the port is configured as an output port. Here you can see GPIO input as GPIO output. Okay, so through this multiplexer, we can select whether the port is configured as an input port or output port. So there is a data control registers. There are 2 data control registers. One is GPIO data and GPIO direction control register with respect to one particular pin, which is very interesting because this we all know very well. Okay, and when as we have discussed right now, there is something like pad control register. So when you talk about pad control register, here you can see just now we have seen in the features, right? GPIO drive register 2 milliamps of current register. Okay, so drive register 2 milliamps. So GPIO drive resistor of 4 milliamps. GPIO drive resistance of 8 milliamps. So 2 milliamps of current, it can drive 2 milliamps of current, it can drive 4 milliamps of current, it can drive 8 milliamps of current. So 2, 4, 8 milliamps of current can be driven. So that is programmable. So there are 3 registers, one register for 2 milliamps of drive current, and another register for 4 milliamps of drive current, another register for 8 milliamps of current. And as we have seen right now, slew rate register, GPIO slew rate register, which decides the slew rate of the corresponding GPIO pin. And as we have seen, there are separate pull-up resistors which is programmable. You can enable the pull-up resistor. So there is a GPIO pull-up resistor, and there is a GPIO pull-down resistor, and GPIO open drain resistor. So there is a pull-up resistor and pull-down resistor, and open drain resistor, and there is something like the GPIO digital enable. So when it can be used as a analog input pin or a digital input pin. So when it is used as a digital input pin means GPIO digital enable. And as we all know, GPIO pin can be configured as an alternate input function like PWM analog input, ADC analog input, or the timer analog input, or the counter analog input, or the read input or write input, or RxD pin or TXD pin, which are all alternate functions as we have seen. Similarly, so there is an alternate mode selection, GPIO alternate mode selection registers. Now we are coming for interrupt control register. Right now I have told you there are 43 GPIO pins, means all the 43 GPIO pins can be used as an interrupt pin, which can be configured as falling edge interrupt or rising edge interrupt. All the 43 pins can be configured as level 0 interrupt or level 1 interrupt. So out of these four, there is no other interrupts in the world with respect to hardware interrupts, as we have discussed several times, right? So when coming to the internal interrupt control, so here there are so many registers, right? So GPIO interrupt sense. So the GPIO interrupt sense, okay. So which is used to sense GPIO interrupt sense means okay, it is going to find out whether it is a level triggered interrupt, okay. Whether it is sensing whether it is a level 0 interrupt or whether it is going to configure the GPIO pin as level 1 interrupts. So GPIO interrupt sense means it is level triggered interrupt, right? And GPIO interrupt on both edges, right? B means both edges, right? So whether it is a falling edge interrupt or whether it has to be a rising edge interrupt, or it can be both rising edge and falling edge interrupt. Okay, so GPIO IS means it is level triggered interrupt. P means it is edge triggered interrupt. And coming to GPIO event, interrupt event. Okay, whether it is a level triggered interrupt or edge triggered interrupt, when an event happens means that event can be made available by using GPIO event register. And there is something like GPIO interrupt mask register, GPIO interrupt mask register, and there is something like instead of edge triggered or level triggered, GPIO raw input interrupt status register, masked interrupt status register, and interrupt control register, and GPIO software interrupt registers. So each GPIOs can be configured as corresponding interrupts also, which is hardware interrupt kind of things. So there are several interrupt registers available with respect to TIVA microcontroller. Along with that, there is something like mode control register. You can see there is mode control register here. Here GPIO alternate function selection register, GPIO ADC control register. So this is GPIO alternate function selector and ADC control register and the DMA control register. So and there is something like commit control, right? There is something like GPIO lock and GPIO control register, commit control register, and there is something like port control register, so which is used to select the alternate peripherals, right? Peripherals, internal peripherals inside the on-chip peripherals. So for that, there is a port control register. So this is the improvement. So when I want to say this is the improvement with respect to the general purpose input output pin when compared to 8051. So why we have studied 8051? Now you know what is 8051. What is the parallel port in 8051? By comparing that, you can see the individual port pin are having this many features. Right? There is not even a single register with respect to parallel port. But here you can see there are pad control, interrupt control, data control, port control, commit control, and mode control. So there are six control functions are possible with respect to single pin. And each control function has approximately at least one or two registers. So for GPIO itself, we have approximately around 30 registers. So understanding all the 30 registers will help us to utilize this GPIOs for as many functions as you wish. By looking at this block diagram, you can really appreciate how powerful and how flexible and how configurable or how beautiful the GPIO pins of this LPC2148 microcontroller. And there is something like identification registers. At the bottom you can see there is something like identification register. So this, with the help of this identification registers, we can identify this GPIO used for which peripheral. Is this GPIO used as an ADC pin? Is this GPIO used as a PWM pin? Is this ADC GPIO is used as a EEPROM pin? Is this used as an I2C pin? Is this used as an SPE pin or CAN pin? Or quadrature encoder interfacing pin or ADC input pin or DAC output pin? So there are so many internal peripherals as we all know. So to bring out the peripheral data through GPIO pins, these identification registers will help us to do this. So these are all the digital. So very important. Look at this the block diagram. Figure 10.1 is digital IO pads. So the analog section was not included here. So figure 10.2 talks about analog IO. It's very interesting, right? Analog as well as digital IO pads. Here you can see there is one more block called analog circuitry. Here you can see there is one more block called analog circuitry, which contains ADC for GPU pins that connect to the ADC input max, and there is an isolation circuit. As told, because a single millivolt change in the analog VDD pin will change the complete resolution of the ADC in the LPCD148. We have demonstrated that by discussing about the ADC. Okay, so along with all the other digital control registers, there is another analog block called analog circuitry, which is helpful for us to do the analog operations also, where the ADC part can be done more beautifully. Wherever we separate VCC ground and V reference plus V reference minus, the thing what we have discussed, which we have to concentrate. Okay, so this is very interesting, and you have to refer the data sheet. Otherwise, the data sheet is very difficult. Quickly, the refer to see the data control. The details about all the registers are given very clearly. If you want to see here, so there is a data control register which contains data direction operation. As we all know, if you 1 means it can be used as an input port, 0 means it can be used as an output port, which is data direction register. And those examples, there is something like interrupt control. So you can see GPIO interrupt sense and GPIO interrupt both edges, and GPIO interrupt event registers are available, which is given clearly. And ADC trigger source, micro DUMA trigger source, and mode control informations are already here. And commit control, pad control registers, and initialization and configuration. How to initialize the GPIO and how to configure GPIO was discussed very clearly in the corresponding GPIO pins. Okay, so this we have to look at it. As you can see, all the registers are 32-bit. If you observe carefully, all the registers are 32-bit, and the address is there here. Out of 32-bit, if you see, only the 8 registers are being used. So the remaining 24 registers are being is reserved, as you see. So 0 to 15 is one word, and 16 to 31, probably 32 bits shown here, out of which 8 bits are being used here. So those 8 bits, when it is kept as 0 means corresponding pin is an input, and 1 means corresponding pin is an output. So because it is a direction control register, the pin has to be an input pin or output pin, something like that we need to understand. So there are port A, port B, port C, port D, port E, and port F. So when the high performance bus is used means, so these are all the memory overload registers. These are the memory locations of the corresponding GPU, port A and port B and port C and port D and port E and F. Okay. This is how you need to understand. And the interrupt sense means, as you see here, there is an interrupt sense register for 8-bit register. So based on that, you can see if it is 0 means the edge on the corresponding pin is detected as edge sensitive. Level on the corresponding pin is detected as level sensitive. So whether you are configuring that as a edge triggered interrupt or level triggered interrupt, the GPIO. So when it is 0 means it is configured as edge triggered interrupt. When it is 1 means it will be configured as level triggered interrupt, which is understood by interrupt sense register, which is GPIO IS. When it is configured as level triggered interrupt means whether it has to be rising edge or falling edge or both edges means that is received by GPIO, both edges register. So by looking at this, when it is 0 means interrupt generation is controlled by GPIO interrupt timeable event register. Both edges are corresponding pin trigger and interrupt. When it is given as 1 means both edges, something like that. Then event register, there is something like event register. When it is event register means 0 means falling edge or a low level, 1 means rising edge or high level. So event register means when it is configured in the interrupt sense, if here configured as level trigger means when here it is 0 means low level, One means high level. When the interruptions register is configured as a is triggered interrupt means in the interrupt event register, when you give it as 0 means it is falling edge, when you give it as 1 means it is rising edge. That you need to understand. Interrupt mask register is used to mask the interrupt. Something like how do we masked in our 8051, etc. And draw interrupt status register. So what is the status of the interrupt, right? Okay, when it is 1 means interrupt has occurred, when it is 0 means interrupt has not occurred, something like that. And mask the interrupt status, right? So the status, these are all status registers which gives the status, and it is 1 means it is masked, when it is 0 means it is not masked, something like that. Interrupt clear register is there, which is used to notify the, it is used to clear the interrupt, something like that. Okay, so the alternate function select registers are there, which is used to select which alternate function, whether it is UART or SP interrupt or I2C interrupt or JTAG interrupt that can use as GPIO or something like this. It's very interesting. And 2 milliamps drive select register, as right now I told. So it is a 2 milliamps drive select register. So when you make it as 1, the corresponding GPIO pin has 2 milliamps of drive. So internally, so the field effect transistor is connected in such a way that it can drive 2 milliamps of current, something like that. And again, 4 milliamps drive select register. When it is 4 milliamps drive, the corresponding GPIO pin has 4 milliamps of drive. Then 8 milliamps of drive register, as you see here, it's very interesting. Then open drain select register. When it is 1 means open drain. When it is 0 means not configured as open drain. Very interesting. And the pull-up select register, when by selecting that corresponding bit, when it is 1 means then automatically the corresponding pin weak pull-up resistor is enabled. So when it is 0 means the corresponding weak pull-up resistor will disable. Pull down register select means again, you see here, and it is 1 means the corresponding pins weak pull down resistor is enabled. So there are pull up resistors only you see. Now here there is something like pull down resistors available. The slew rate control select register, here it is. The 0 means slew rate control is disabled, and it is 1 means slew rate control is enabled for the corresponding pin. Okay. And GPIO digital enable, when it is 1 means digital is enabled, and the 0 means digital is disabled. Like this, digital enable and digital disabled. So the corresponding bits. And GPIO lock. So this lock is very interesting, right? Now it's write access to the, it locks the write address, right? So writing is impossible, right? So you cannot able to write into the bit, once it gets locked, right? That is 1 means GPIO register is locked and may not be modified, unlocked and may be modified. Okay. So locking at logic 1 and logic lock at 0, something like stuck at 0 and stuck at 1. You can lock it at 0 and you can lock it at 1. Commit register. So there is a commit register which is used to say for example, alternate function select register, pull up resistor, GPIO drive register, and digital enabled registers cannot be written. So when it is 1 means corresponding registers can be written. So this commit register should enable all other features of the GPIO pins as we have seen right now. And there is something like 21st register, right? GPIO analog mode select register. Which analog mode, whether the analog function of the pin is disabled or not means analog function will get enabled. And port control register is very interesting. So which is used to select which port, right? It is, you can see here every 4 bits, when it is 0000 means it can be used as GPIO. So there are 16 possible combinations, right? The 16, every 4 pin has a 16 possible combinations for one particular pin. So one pin can be configured in 16 different on-chip peripherals, which is your port control register as you have seen right now. And again, ADC control register is here, which is used to trigger the ADC when it is set to 1 means. And similarly, when it is set to 1 means the DMA features of this GPIO will get enabled. And the peripheral identification register 43210, which is used to identify the corresponding peripheral, right? Okay. So peripheral ID. So which ID the corresponding peripheral that can be configured. So that is what I want to highlight with respect to GPIO. So there are 32 registers, right? If you see, there are probably 32 registers. And there is some prime cell registers, right? Prime cell identification, which is much more complex. For time being, we are not going to discuss about this. So there is a prime cell register, which is very interesting. And you can see here, there are prime cell registers, multiple prime cell registers which are available here. And you can see identification registers. There are multiple prime cell identification registers, which is helping us to identify the corresponding pins. Okay, so that's how. Then comes your timer, right? GP, general purpose timers. So 10th chapter talks about GPIO pins right now, as we have discussed clearly. So this is general purpose input output features of TIVA microcontroller, right? General purpose features of TIVA microcontroller, where it can be used in any number of applications as per our wish. The block diagram is shown here. This is how it works. So that's all for today with respect to GPIO things, which is chapter 10. Go through this chapter 10 and understand the significance of the general purpose input output of this TIVA C series of microcontroller. Thank you.